So hi folks, my name's Olivia Maya Ortiz and I'm an educator at the School for Advanced Research's Indian Arts Research Center. And thanks everyone for logging in. This program is partially funded by the City of Santa Fe Arts and Culture Department and the 1% Lodgers Tax. So SAR Artists Live, we basically get to chat with artists, jump into their workspaces, just learn about their practice. And I'm so happy that we have Nora Naranjo Morse with us today. Oh, I got a little notification. Oh, that might be Elysia. Let's see if this works. So I have Nora Naranjo Morse with us today, and I'm sure many folks know that she's a prolific Santa Clara potter, sculptor, and multimedia artist. Hi, Elysia.
Hi.
Am I saying it correctly, or is it Elysia?
Yeah, the first thing's correct.
Elysia? Okay.
Yeah.
My boss's name is Elysia, and so that's my instinct. So glad I was right. Well, I'm glad that you're both here. So as I was saying, Naranjo Morse is a prolific Santa Clara potter, sculptor, multimedia artist. She attained her BA from the College of Santa Fe and learned pottery from her mother, Rose Naranjo. She's well known for her, a very famous artist, I might add. Someone said that. She's well known for her clay figures, which often personify and just add a social commentary on American Indian and Anglo lifestyles. You can see installations of hers and sculptures at the Hearn Museum of Northern Arizona, the Albuquerque Museum, the Smithsonian, among many others. And today we have Elysia Escobedo with us, who is also a Santa Clara artist. I believe it sounds like your background is in illustration and maybe painting as well, but you might be looking to venture into other mediums as well. So Nora and Elysia have both been working on a project called Gather, and that's something I'm really excited to talk about today, amongst other things. So I should also mention Nora was an artist fellow at SAR in 2000, a Dubin fellow, and prior to that she was also a Lamon fellow, where she focused on poetry, and that was in 88, 89.
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. But anyhow, I will stop now, and do you both want to introduce yourself in your own words?
Go ahead, Elysia.
Yeah. My name's Elysia Escobedo. I'm from Santa Clara Pueblo. Yeah, I mostly do painting and illustration. I'm looking to dive more into animation though, eventually. Right now I'm making a film for Nora, so
Oh,
yeah.
okay, can't wait to hear more. And Nora?
Well, I've been working with Elysia for originally it was for 5 weeks, and we seem to be meeting up more frequently and under this project called Gather that's generously supported by the NDN collectives out of South Dakota. I am for this next year a recipient of their grant, and so this allowed me to propose and start making Gather, which is basically a community-based art project that invites people from my community, and when I mean community, I don't mean just Hapo Winge, but just in my communities that I travel through, so that there are a variety of people from Hapo Winge. There's going to be somebody from who has roots from Mexico, and somebody else, Amanda Beardsley, and she comes from different communities. So community has a large connotation in this project. But I named it Gathering because we are all gathering things, knowledge, cultural information, there's always something that we're sort of picking up and using as our resources. So that's the name of the project. And Elysia is the first participant, and she and I have been working together for 5 weeks now.
Can you
But it's been going on for much longer.
tell us about how you conceptualized the project, or what was the catalyst for Gather?
Well, I think COVID has really changed the way we think about communities. And there was such isolation and that sense of needing to be separate from people for those 2 years of COVID. And so I was thinking about how important it is for us to get together as a community and share information, and what did that look like post-COVID. And so I started conjuring up this idea that maybe I could find people in these communities and work on art projects in the studio. On the studio that I work in, I helped build and built some of it myself. It used to be an old basketball court. And so now it's this building where people can come and basically, if they need to use it for some kind of space, we used it as a food clearinghouse during the pandemic, and people have been coming in. We interviewed elders for the SAR Learn project. And so I've been using this space to create a gathering place for people who want to just come and be part of a community, an art community.
Yeah.
And so that's what the project's about.
So is the project itself, it sounds like it's less about the form that's taking shape and more about the connections that are happening amongst folks. Does that sound accurate? Or
Yeah, I would say that it is about that idea of gathering to share information. But there has been a project in the process that's now included in Gathering, and it's made out of recycled materials. And so it's a large sculpture, and so that's part of the project of Gathering. And I also wanted to the participants who became involved in Gathering, I wanted them to explore their own ideas of what they wanted to make, and if it was possible, I could help them. I could be their assistant in a way. If they helped me with my project, I would help them with their project.
I wish I could share pictures that you sent me today, but I don't know that I can with us doing our three-way call. Elysia, what has the experience been like for you working in the studio?
Oh, it's been really fun. I really like it. Yeah. Before I met Nora, I was kind of in kind of like an art rut. I was mostly just working, and Nora gave me the opportunity to work and learn more about the process. So I'm really grateful for that.
That's awesome. Maybe can you tell us, folks, what inspired you to start working with recycled materials, Nora?
Well, there's sort of two things that happened. I started really becoming aware that we consume as people, no matter who we are, we consume a great deal of stuff. And whether it's at Walmart or wherever, we're just consuming constantly. And what we do with the object that we're no longer interested in, or that's has its worn out its use, we throw it away, just sort of out of sight, out of mind. And when I started realizing that there were these huge mounds in even on tribal lands, I became really, I wanted to look at that. I wanted to start thinking about and processing why this is happening and why there's so much trash everywhere. And the other thing I was thinking about too is that a long time ago, our communities really used everything. They used their wood, they used their clay, and it was the animals they hunted, all of it was used. And so I was especially impressed by, in the 1930s, Pueblo people started using discarded materials to make jewelry because they didn't have any money to buy, of course, silver and turquoise. So they just started using old vinyl records and plastic, any kind of material they could to make art. And that really impressed me. And the kind of art they did, of course, Elysia and I at one point went to go look at the 30s era Depression jewelry made from the Pueblos. And so that's how we went to SAR and we started engaging with the collections there.
Yeah. So with your visits to the collections and seeing those pieces of jewelry, has that translated into what your pieces have become now?
They're more like an inspiration. I really wanted to just see the jewelry that was being made in the 30s from old RPM records, and just there's something about seeing it in real life as opposed to a picture. And so it was really cool to be able to see those pieces of jewelry. And then while we were there, Elysia got to see pottery from, the collection of pottery is pretty impressive.
Yeah. What did you think, Elysia?
It was pretty cool, and to see how distinct each Pueblo's art style is, that was really interesting to see, because then once you walk in, you'll see Santa Clara's pottery, and it's all like glossy and black, and then Akima's is a bunch of like intricate little designs. It was really cool to see.
Yeah. Were you able to handle any of the pieces?
I don't think we were allowed to. I would
Well,
have been afraid to
We
anyway.
get a little, I got a little nervous always.
Yeah,
really, are you afraid to break them?
Yes.
That's
yeah.
what I'm afraid of too. But I'm sure they want to be held by somebody. So you definitely should come back. And I'm glad that it was a good visit. I wish I was there.
Well, I think it is really important too because, institutions and communities can sometimes, even though they're close together, they can be far away. And I think been a real effort with SAR to really invite people from the communities into the collections. And so I'm really grateful because they're always so welcoming. Everybody's so welcoming, from Daniel to Elysia to everyone, making our visit a real time where we could look at the not only the collection but just the lay of the institution.
Yeah.
And people like Elysia can come and see, oh, this is a resource for me.
Yes, absolutely. It definitely is. And I'm really glad to hear you say all those positive things. I guess speaking of SAR, do you want to talk a little bit about the SAR Learns initiative that happened, in the thick of the pandemic, and I believe it was 16 artists who received various different funds to support their projects that were aimed at intergenerational learning in particular, and you were one of the recipients.
Yeah.
And you can talk about what your project was. I think it was called When Elders Speak. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. We have elders who are just a wealth of information in our communities, and I really wanted to highlight that, and so I propose 5 podcasts where I just interviewed elders from our community who were born around the 30s. And so we hear from somebody like Tito Naranjo from Ha'owinge, who tells stories of the struggles, the hunger struggles in the community during the 30s, and how eventually when he went to a college in Texas, one of the first things he remembers was there was a frat food fight in the college, and he couldn't believe it because there were people in the communities hungry, and yet there were in this another part of the country there was these food fights where food was just carelessly thrown around. And we need to hear those things from our elders. Those remembrances are really very important. Or like Benny Romero from Taos Pueblo, who sang several Pueblo songs for us. And so these podcasts were an hour long. They could have been 3 or 4 hours long, but these podcasts really gives insight, especially to younger people, like what was it like for my grandfather in the 30s? What was the Pueblo like? And Tessie Naranjo, who was also affiliated with SAR at one point, was interviewed, and she was talking about the lay of Santa Clara Pueblo and how the roads were used differently and the names of them in Tewa. So these memories, this witnessing of these older people, I was just floored at the kind of information and knowledge that these 5 hours produced. So I was real grateful for SAR for giving me the opportunity to do that.
With your creative process with that project, was there anything, I think it's easy to conceptualize a project and assume it'll go exactly as planned, but I always find it interesting, what kind of things organically pop up that you learn along the way that you weren't expecting, or ways you had to improvise. Was there any, were there any moments like that for you?
Of course, they're always, all the time. How to get older people down to a studio during the pandemic was kind of a challenge. How to feed them, all of these things that don't really seem like they aren't really that important. Those specifics and those nuances of treating people with respect and bringing them into the studio, I think, was really something that I had to think a lot about. Cleaning it and offering wipes so that they could feel like they were safe, and do we put on our masks? So all of these little details, I think, were really something that I learned beyond these stories that I heard that are just like gems.
Yeah. Where can people listen to them if you have them publicly available?
Well, it's on my website, and so you can go to that. And Naranjo Morse, I forgot my website.
I was
NaranjoMorseStudio.com.
Okay, we'll include that link as well, but it's fairly easy to find your website on Google, so I have faith we'll find it.
And also we have copies coming to SAR on hard copies, so they're available at SAR as well.
Okay, I wasn't aware. That's awesome. I'm really excited for that. That's great. Well, it's already been 20 minutes, which always flies by. I guess one thing, or we'll see, it'll probably branch off into more things. This latest installment of SAR Artists Live, we're really looking at ideas of intergenerational learning and indigenous knowledge ways, and essentially just kind of asking artists the question, like, how do you learn, or how do you teach others? So I guess one question I would pose to both of you is, how do you feel that you learn through your art form, or how does your art form educate others, just along those lines, if that makes sense?
Well, I'm interested in hearing about what Elysia thinks about that, because when I read your question that you sent, I was thinking, well, how will Elysia?
Yeah, like how do artists teach and or learn? What has it been like for you?
Let's see. I guess for me, my art is more of like, I guess, learning, especially collaborations is when I really get to learn more and experience the art process and different techniques and how to incorporate that into my style. And also just like during collaborations, getting to hear their point of views and perspectives, which really changes my point of view. So I guess my artwork is really just a way for me to meet new artists and people. It's yeah, it's been great. I didn't think I'd get this far with it, so that
Well,
makes me really happy.
if you don't mind, do you want to share like maybe an example you were thinking of the time your perspective was changed?
I guess meeting Nora, I was drawing at my work and she stopped by and she took a look. She's like, "Hey, I got this new project going on. Do you want to be involved?" And I said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Yeah, it was really interesting because that's again that really speaks to the idea of knowing your community. Because during the pandemic, Alicia's been working at these checkpoints that allow you in or out of the community because most of the pueblos in New Mexico have been closed, right? And so she was a guard at one of the communities. And I always wondered, well, how do those little boxes look? How do you sit in that for 8 hours? And so I got curious and I walked up to her, and I couldn't have done that if I was just a stranger, if I was looking for somebody. And then all of a sudden, I see this young woman sitting in this guard house drawing. And I asked her what she was doing, and she was saying, I'm learning more about anatomy. And I was just so struck by that the motivation and the will to to do that, that the next time I came, I brought her some paper and pencils, and then we formed a relationship and started sharing information. And I think if you asked me how it is artists should teach, I think my responsibility as an elder artist is to learn from people like Elysia, and hear their ideas and be open to what they're saying and thinking, and hopefully they will do the same for me. And that's when that cultural, intergenerational, I think, exchange really starts exploding.
Yeah.
Because we've been having fun just trying to figure out how to do this animation for her, or what kind of materials to use, or you know, now we're also incorporating other people, like other elders have been coming in. Her ko'odal, and tewa, ko'o means aunt, and her ko, now she has more ko'os coming to help her. And the other day, we all went to help another artist who needed someone to be sewing for her and helping her with her art project. And so we've just sort of started forming this like art posse pack, and we just go to different places, gathering places to help each other and learn from each other. So those are the pictures I wanted to send you.
Yeah, and those are on the Instagram feed too now, so people can just, swipe through them and see exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of it in these projects has to do with sewing. And so Elysia gets to hone her skills in sewing, and so do I. And we're getting taught by an elder who is a master at sewing.
Yeah. Wow. Elysia, before we sign off, do you want to tell us a little bit about the animation that you mentioned earlier?
yeah, so right now it's at the 4 minute long, and it's, I guess to summarize it, it's about this relationship between a mother and a daughter, but also dealing with things like, it's a lot of symbolism where the mom turns into a bear and starts running after this child, but even after like these events of like the child getting chased and attacked, it still goes back to that mother. It's something that I've been wanting to try out. I've been really interested in animation for a long time. So getting to start this project is really exciting. But it's really lengthy. It's taking me forever.
And are you kind of, and like, are you illustrating digitally or doing a stop motion? Like, what is it?
At first it was gonna be stop motion, but we decided to go digitally, which is also great.
Yeah.
But can you tell her about the textures on these people?
Oh yeah. So it's in the animation, instead of coloring it, we took pictures of mantas, which is our dress, textures of a drum hide, and using that as a still texture for the characters, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, no pressure, but when do you think we can see it?
That's a big question.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay because I'm mostly working on it like on my own for the most part. I'm trying to get one of my friends to help me out with the editing, and my laptop is a Chromebook, and that's like the only thing I have on me right now. So I'm trying to invest in something that'll be able to keep up with the animation and not crash on me.
A draw pad, right? One of the drawing pads.
Yeah.
Probably be helpful too. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know, I mean, I used to do design, so I know I have one leg around. I'll look for it and you can. But anyhow, we're almost out of time and I wish we could talk for a few more hours. But thanks everyone for joining in today. Nora and Elysia, before we sign off, do you want to, make any remarks or include any social media handles or things like that for viewers?
How do I go? So can I just repeat my website?
Yeah, you can just say it now and then I'll also include it, when we post it later.
Yeah, Naranjo Morse. Except I can't remember it every time. Naranjo Morse Studios at gmail.com.
Okay. Yeah, people will find you. Oh, and any other place where people can see your work or things coming up to look out for. It's also a good opportunity to share that now.
Yeah, because Alicia's has a site on there as well, a page, and her work is beautiful.
Yeah, I saw part of it. It is really beautiful. Your paintings are amazing. You can tell that you definitely studied anatomy. But beyond the color choice and palette I really liked it. So
thank you.
Of course. Do you have any, so we can see Alicia's work on Nora's website, and if you want to include your Instagram handle, folks can follow you there too.
Yeah. And my webpage is on my profile. It's linked in there. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you both so much. It was great to chat and learn more about the projects that you've had on your mind. So everyone have a great night. Thanks for logging in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.